Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Storms are in our forecast for the weekend, so we have a WRAL weather alert day for Saturday and Sunday. We'll walk you through the risks.
Budget adjustments. Duke University considers several cost-cutting measures under the threat of federal funding cuts.
In the hands of the jury, a Raleigh man says he was high on drugs when he attacked his parents. Christopher McCullough could soon learn whether the jury spares him.
We're in for another hot afternoon on the way today. The mini heat wave, though, is going to come to an end. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Our meteorologists have issued a WRAL weather alert day for both Saturday and Sunday. Elizabeth Gardner is live at the farmers market for a fun event, but first she'll let us know how these storms could impact our weekend. Elizabeth.
First off, it looks like mainly afternoon and evening, which is pretty typical, for this time of year in terms of seeing those showers and thunderstorms. Let's take a look at what the threats are going to be. It's mainly going to be the potential for some wind damage. We can take a look at our graphics and you can see our potential risk for that weather alert day. Again, it's Saturday and Sunday. Damaging winds and heavy rain would be the greatest threat. We're looking at a level 1 risk for Saturday, and that may be issued again for Sunday. So afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Sunday, however, may rain for a good chunk of the day, and there's so many events and festivals that are happening this weekend. Saturday up until around or just after lunchtime, we're probably going to be okay, but Sunday we may see rain and showers, and then afternoon and evening severe thunderstorm threat. So here's a look at our severe threat for Saturday. It's a level 1 risk. It's all the way up and down the East Coast almost. Again, wind damage. A few of the isolated cells could produce some damaging wind, and again, that's going to be Saturday, and again, the timeline for that is going to be mainly in the afternoon and evening. Now, this starts tomorrow, not our weather alert day, but we will have the potential for some isolated cells. It's about a 40% chance for Friday, and then just a 30% chance on Saturday. But we do have that, of course, level 1 risk. So it's a weather alert day because there'll be a lot of people out and about at events and festivals. And then Sunday, we may have showers and storms all day, but a better threat for stronger storms later in the afternoon and evening, and it may carry over to Monday as well. More about how much rain we could see and the timeline. We're going to walk you through Futurecast in just a few minutes. Also, it's Strawberry Day here at the State Farmers Market, and we'll talk about some of the yummy desserts out here coming up.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news out of Washington this afternoon. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is expected to leave the Trump administration in the coming days. We've just learned this in the past hour. It was made clear to Waltz earlier this week that his time leading the administration had come to an end. He's been on shaky ground after he accidentally added a reporter to a group chat about military strikes. Trump did stand behind him at that time. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, he's a real estate developer and a friend of President Trump. He is under consideration to replace Waltz. Of course, this is all breaking news. As soon as we have any more information, we'll bring it to you from the Live Center.
Job cuts could be on the horizon at Duke. The university announcing what it's considering to keep up with budget deficits. This after the Trump administration froze federal grants and loans that are critical to college campuses across the country. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is live near Duke's campus right now. Sean, what might some of those cost-cutting measures look like?
Yeah, just to give you an idea, Duke University received over $130 million in grants just from the National Institutes of Health alone. So a freeze on grants like that could be a big blow to universities like Duke as they try to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. Now, Duke first announced its plans in March for what it's calling a strategic realignment and cost reduction program. Part of that includes stopping capital spending on new buildings, renovations, and other capital projects. But job cuts obviously looming large. Duke Executive Vice President Daniel Ennis said in an internal webinar yesterday, it's impossible to address the scope of threats to the university's federal funding without making changes to staffing levels. So Duke hoping to limit the scale of those possible job cuts by putting a freeze on hiring, eliminating vacant positions, and providing incentives for staff that choose to leave. Now, on top of the federal grant freezes, a tax hike could be a big blow to Duke as well. There's a House committee that suggested increasing the tax rate on endowments from 1.4% up to 14%. And just to put that in perspective, Duke's endowment right now close to $12 billion. near Duke's campus. Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
As early as today, the State Board of Elections could switch to GOP control. Republicans tried to shift control of the board away from Governor Josh Stein, who's a Democrat. A trial court said this is unconstitutional, but an appeals court overturned that decision yesterday. If political control of the State Board of Elections is flipped, it could affect a state Supreme Court race and the lawsuit over whether to throw out thousands of ballots in Republican Jefferson Griffin's attempt to unseat Democrat Allison Riggs.
If the board switches over to Republican control, we could see the board also switch its stance on that lawsuit and suddenly start siding with Jefferson Griffin in that case. How that might affect things in federal court, where that case is right now, still hard to tell.
Governor Stein has already said he'll appeal the decision. Our NC Capitol team will be closely following these developments all throughout the day. You can look for updates on WRAL News from 4 to 7:30 tonight.
Closing arguments have wrapped up in a murder trial for a man charged with killing his mom. Christopher McCullough could learn today whether the jury finds him guilty of the crime. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with what both sides are claiming in this case. Noah.
Renee, closing arguments lasted just about 40 minutes or so. The state emphasized McCullough intended to kill both of his parents because his parents wouldn't give him gas money. Meanwhile, the defense said he couldn't form intent on what he did because he was awake for 6 days on Adderall, as well as several other drugs and drinking alcohol. Just yesterday, McCullough took the stand testifying here in his own defense. He said he was so high he didn't know what happened. McCullough wasn't even allowed to be at that home on Ingate Way in August of 2023. That's because his parents had a protective order out against him after they say he beat them both before. Mary McCullough died from blunt force trauma to the head. John survived but was hospitalized for weeks. Here's part of those closing arguments. Let's start with the state, then we'll give you the defense's side.
The defendant murdered his mother. The defendant tried to murder his father. And the defendant murdered Kylan's childhood.
Chris is in that state of mind from smoking all the meth and snorting all the Adderall and drinking for being up for 6 days that he just, snapped and is assaulting John. But his intention, he testified, was never to kill Mary.
As for what's next here, the jury now has the case. They've been deliberating for about 30 minutes or so. We'll wait to see if they return a verdict today. They're set to decide on 3 charges here: first-degree murder, attempted murder, and larceny of the dog. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is in the courtroom. She just texted me an update. So they're asking a question about that final charge here, larceny of the family dog. The jury came out, asked a question. We'll wait to see what role that has, if any, in a verdict. Live updates throughout the day right here on WRAL News.
Noah, thanks for that update. A person is dead after an early morning crash on Trawick Road in Raleigh. This happened just after 1:30 this morning near Marsh Creek Road. WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there as officers investigated. It was a single car crash. The driver was the only person in the car. And one person is dead after a motorcycle crash on US 401. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker taken about 4 a.m. This happened in Harnett County near the Wake County line. Troopers say speed was a factor in this crash when we are working to learn the name of the driver.
A family is displaced and 2 people are in the hospital after a house fire in Durham. This happened just after 3:40 this morning on Craven Street. More than 45 fire personnel responded to the fire. A man managed to escape, but firefighters had to rescue the other 2 people. We're working to learn how they're doing, as well as what caused this fire. A bill banning diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in state government and in public schools is moving forward in the state legislature. The state house passed a measure that would mean public employees could be fined $10,000 and lose their jobs for promoting any of those things. The bill could also end programs supporting minority-owned businesses through government contracts. Republican sponsors say DEI efforts are discriminatory and cause division. Democrats say the bill is an attempt to erase the fact that inequality still exists. The bill now heads to the state Senate.
Today, a federal judge could put a halt on President Donald Trump's order to slash the Institute of Museum and Library Services. A D.C. federal judge said he plans to grant a temporary restraining order. The decision is based on a lawsuit from the American Libraries Association and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employment. They say they rely on the Institute for funding.
The Carolina Hurricanes will face the Washington Capitals in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Washington will have home ice advantage for the series, with games 3 and 4 taking place at the Lenovo Center. Although the schedule hasn't been released, tickets go on sale to the general public tomorrow at noon. Season ticket members can get theirs right now.
Take a look at stocks this noon. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has spent all morning long in positive territory. It currently sits at 255 points in positive territory up today. NASDAQ is up 354 points at this time. S&P 500 is also up. It is up 64 points right now. All the major indices in positive territory.
Next at noon, rare earth deal. The minerals Ukraine will now share with the U.S. and what it took to get the deal done.
Also worth the wait, the astronaut who finally got her spacewalk 6 years after she originally got the call.
Putting more guns in private schools. That was the debate at the state legislature today. At 12:30, the reason for this push.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
The U.S. and Ukraine have signed the long-awaited minerals deal. It gives the U.S. access to Kyiv's national resources and allows both countries to invest together to accelerate Ukraine's economic recovery. NBC's Matt Bodner shares the concessions from the Trump administration.
At first glance, the Ukrainians appear to have gotten more of what they wanted out of this one. Second and third glances, too. It's important to remember how we got here and why it's taken so long to seal this deal. The short answer is President Trump approached with some heavy, almost colonial demands. Ukraine dug in, and the White House in the end appears to have caved on some key points. One of those key points concerns Trump's previous claim that Ukraine would need to use this deal to pay back the United States for aid provided over the past 3 years. Trump appeared to be fixated on the factually incorrect idea that Ukraine would pay Europe back, but not the United States. The agreement as signed makes no mention of any debts to the United States for past aid, and instead it focuses exclusively on joint investment in forward-looking mineral extraction projects. Furthermore, the agreement provides for complete Ukrainian control over these projects, with the United States playing a role more akin to a co-beneficiary with a 50% stake. For the first decade, at least according to Ukraine, all profits generated by the fund will be directly reinvested into the reconstruction of Ukraine, and that is, of course, another big win for the Ukrainians. There is, however, one big provision that Kyiv has been pushing for that is not covered in the agreement, and that would be security guarantees from the United States vis-a-vis Russia. However, Ukrainian officials have said that the United States, in addition to hard cash, has the option to provide additional military assistance to Ukraine as part of their contribution to this mineral fund. And that would particularly cover air defense systems that are used to protect the cities, and they've saved so many civilian lives throughout the war. But broader military aid, that is something that will be part of the larger negotiation effort, and that is still ongoing. Matt Bodner, NBC News, London.
Activists in Tel Aviv set up a huge display of a yellow ribbon by the beach today. The display is meant to mark Israel's 77th Independence Day and to express solidarity with the hostages being held in Gaza. Drone video of the installation shows the ribbon with "now" written in English, referencing the demand to release the remaining hostages now.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris delivered her first major speech since leaving office. The Emerge Gala took place in San Francisco. It benefits an organization that supports women interested in entering politics. During her remarks, Harris called Trump's tariffs reckless and issued a sobering warning about the Trump administration's clashes with the courts.
If Congress fails to do its part, or if the courts fail to do their part, or if both do their part, but the president defies them anyway, well, friends, that is called a constitutional crisis. And that is a crisis that will eventually impact everyone.
Harris' speech last night comes as some question her own path forward and that of her party. The former vice president is scheduled to attend a fundraiser for the Democratic National Committee in New York on Tuesday.
A NASA astronaut who missed out on the first all-female spacewalk because of a spacesuit sizing issue finally got her chance 6 years later. Anne McClain emerged from the International Space Station today alongside Nicole Ayers. McClain should have taken part in the first all-female spacewalk in 2019, but there weren't enough medium-sized suits. And during their spacewalk today, the pair will prepare the space station for another new set of solar panels and move an antenna. So this is now the 5th all-female spacewalk that she made.
And there was an issue in them getting out on time because of the stitching in one of the fingers of the suits. So they were held up for them. I thought, oh no, it's going to be held
like,
up
don't take this opportunity away from her either.
They got out there.
Right.
It was great.
But she got out there. And that'll go on for a few more hours yet. The total spacewalk, 6.5 hours.
Yeah. We're encouraging everyone to get out there, not in space, but just in time today before, things change. And right now, it's going to be hot today. Elizabeth Carter's at the State Farmers Market right now. It's Strawberry Day, Elizabeth. You'll get all the good assignments.
I do. I get to do this almost every year, so I feel like a pro. They invite me over to judge the strawberry dessert contest, and it was amazing. Absolutely fantastic. And then after that, everybody gathers here in the event space, and they hand out strawberry desserts to everybody. And we need more of you guys to come on down for sure. So something different this year. The Smithfield-Selma High School food and nutrition class actually cooked this great strawberry cobbler. And so this is new to get the high school students involved. I want to bring you over here, and we're going to take a look at this. Look at this. Does that not look absolutely delicious? Thank you guys for doing this. This is really incredible. I hope that you guys will do this again year after year, because thank you. This is wonderful. Okay, if I put this in my mouth right now, then I won't be able to talk, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'll have to eat the rest of it later, but I'm going to have a bite of it because, Really, really good, you guys. Thank you. I bet you did. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So it is a warm day, as Jeff and Renee said, but it's nice under the shade here. Let's take a look at our camera. You can see there. That is, of course, over at Carolina Beach, which is a great place to be today to keep yourself on the cool side. Of course, we talked earlier about the fact that it is a WRAL weather alert day. So we're going to talk about that as well. It's 83 degrees right now. Their dew point is 61, so not too bad in the shade, but a bit on the warm side if you're not in the shade. Again, our WRAL weather alert day isn't today or tomorrow, but it's for Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to walk through that timeline for you coming up again in just a little bit. But we're looking at the potential for late day showers and thunderstorms both days. Saturday, we already have a level 1 risk for severe storms. It's 79 right now in Roxborough, 82 in Fayetteville, 81 in Goldsboro. I take a look at our temperatures around town today, looking at 90 today in Raleigh. And yesterday, we tied the record of 90. Today, the record's 92, and the record's 94 in Fayetteville. So we'll be just a couple of degrees off of the records, but way above normal. Our normal high is 77. We're looking at 90 again looking at 88 for tomorrow and 87 Saturday, and then a little cooler Sunday and Monday with a continued chance for showers and thunderstorms. Our muggy meter is going to be mostly on the tolerable side. It may bump up a little bit for Friday and Saturday as we get more of that moisture into the area. There are so many events happening over the weekend. I can only touch on a few of them, but one of the ones that we've been partners with for a very long time, the Komen Race for the Cure, on Saturday morning. Right now it looks dry on Saturday morning, so that's definitely good news. But later in the afternoon, it could definitely be an issue. We're proud sponsors of the Ham and Yam Festival in Smithfield, and it looks like by the time we get to 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday, we could be dealing with some scattered storms. Some of those could be on the strong to severe side. So again, Saturday and Sunday are WRAL weather alert days. One of the reasons again for that is because there are going to be a lot of people out and about over the weekend. Just remember that you want to make sure that you are weather aware. Download our WRAL app, and it'll help you along with that as well. So coming back in just a few more minutes, we're going to talk more about strawberries in North Carolina. It's a very important crop for our state.
Please save us some cobbler, Elizabeth.
Oh,
Can you bring some back?
Will do.
Dessert first. We'll have lunch after. Thanks, Elizabeth. We'll see you in a little bit. Gas for less than $2. That's what President Trump is saying is happening in some states. Today on WRAL News at 4, PolitiFact checks the prices at the pump.
Plus, watch where you step. Copperhead snakes are out and about on greenways across the Triangle. Today on WRAL News at 5, the warning from wildlife experts if you come across one and what you should do. Heritage in Focus. Today marks the beginning of Asian American Pacific Islanders Month. After the break, a local filmmaker shares why he prides himself on telling stories of immigrants and refugees.
Floundering food banks, why facilities are struggling to keep up with the increasing demand.
This Saturday, the Cary Theater will host a film festival that celebrates the experiences of immigrants and refugees through captivating films. And today we kick off Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we welcome the film festival's founder, WRAL, who's based in Morrisville. He's also an independent filmmaker. Abby, great to have you here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So from writing to distribution, you do it all as a filmmaker. What inspired you to become one?
I grew up in Mumbai, India, so films and TV was an integral part of growing up, especially in summer. Watch a lot of television and films. My paternal uncle was an actor back in the day, so I got a chance to be on the set and watch him perform. So that was an eye-opening moment for me. I think the turning point of my life was a short film that I made during my senior year in college. And that's when I realized what the journey looks like. And then I moved to the United States, and since then I've been telling stories about immigrants and refugees.
And you shoot a lot of your films in North Carolina, right? That's important for you to focus in on the North Carolina experience as well.
That's absolutely important for my, the concepts that I have in mind. I want to make sure that I, engage with local cast and crew, give them a chance to be a part of the process. And North Carolina has such amazing locations. So why would I leave the state when we have some amazing, sets and locations right here in our backyard?
And why is it important for you as a filmmaker to tell the stories of Asian American and Pacific Islanders?
Yeah, I don't know how many people know, but Asians have been in this country for more than 430 years. It started with two Filipinos being on the Spaniard expedition. They settled in Louisiana. So we've had a long history here. And now we are going past the 25 million mark in the country. So it's definitely a growing population, one of the fastest growing populations. And I feel like there's so much to unpack within the culture, the language, the customs. And I feel like using broad strokes to paint Asian stories is not fair. So this is an important moment for us to tell stories and to document it for the next few generations to come.
And part of that storytelling will happen this weekend with this film festival. It's called Home is Distant Shores at the Cary Theater. Talk about some of the films that will be shown and what you want the takeaway to be from that. Yeah,
we have a large eclectic mix of films. We have 17 short films. And we have a local visual artist spotlighting her work as well. Sampada Agarwal will be here. And at the core of this film festival, it's about what home means to us as immigrants. And that discourse is important through films, art, and conversation that takes place after the film screening.
Well, we are thrilled that you now call the Triangle home and continue to do this wonderful work and to feature that. You can catch the Home is Distant Shores Film Festival at the Cary Theater this Saturday. These are films from all across the country. It starts at noon. 2 blocks of short films will be shown along with Q&A panel discussions with some of the artists. So you can buy tickets on the Cary Theater's website. Abby, thank you so much for being here. Great talking with you.
Thanks for inviting me again. Thank you.
Jeff?
Advocating for change, how teachers, students, and parents hope their actions will produce results. And poor sleep, bad health. Why getting proper rest can do more than keep you energized.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Advocating for better funding. This morning, teachers, families, and the Chapel Hill and Carborough communities held walk-ins at several schools. WRAL's Monica Casey reports on the demonstrations and the call to action.
Public money for public schools. That's what this group of families and students outside Smith Middle School is asking for. The The Chapel Hill Carrboro Association of Educators argues the state of North Carolina has fallen short in funding public schools, and now they're asking the county to pick up the slack.
I've been to public school my whole life. My siblings have been to public school. My mom fought hard to bring us to Carrboro to make enough money so we could afford to live here, and I want to continue going to public school.
The issue of state funding for public schools is a concern we've heard in other districts, but it has special significance here right now, where they've had to cut positions because of the budget.
If the General Assembly's not going to do it, who's going to do it? And it's awful that we have to ask our citizens of Orange County to fund what the General Assembly won't.
In addition to asking to restore those positions, the school board's expansion budget asks to restore master's pay and increase supplements for employees. Reporting in Chapel Hill, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Today, the State House will take up a bill that would get rid of state restrictions on school calendars. If passed, it would allow each school system to decide when to start and end each semester. Today, work to improve public schooling gets back underway. This topic is in the final session of a 3-day planning session for the State Board of Education. Today, they'll vote on pay for teachers who missed several work days because of Hurricane Helene. They will also receive information on other topics. This includes charter schooling in North Carolina, academic performance in Native American communities, and early graduations.
State lawmakers this morning advanced a bill to put more guns in schools. The bill targets private schools only, not public schools, and it would let teachers or parents or other volunteers carry guns on campus and act as armed guards. WRAL state government reporter Will Doran followed this debate this morning. He joins us now from the legislature. Will, this is going to get a lot of eyes on it. What's the motivation for this change?
Yeah, Jeff, school shootings just keep happening here in the U.S., and some private school families worried that their kids just aren't as safe on campus as they could be. And many other Republican states do already let private school teachers or parents carry guns on school grounds. And now Republicans here in North Carolina want us to join that trend as well.
And if it does become law, how's it going to work? Could anyone just walk on campus with a gun?
No, under this rule, the principal or the headmaster of the school would be in charge of deciding who would be allowed to have the guns on campus and be acting as these volunteer security folks. But beyond that, there is very little oversight baked into this. As long as the person can legally carry a concealed gun, takes 8 hours of training a year, that's really all the legislature wants to require. So while it's not nothing, obviously 8 hours of training is far, far less than sheriff's deputies receive who provide security at public schools or, even private security guards.
Now, we know, Will, that public schools have been working to ramp up security. Have private schools done the same to take on these security measures? Are they banned in any way from doing this?
No, private schools have already been allowed to hire their own private security guards for campus if they want. But, the fact of the matter is a lot of them either can't afford that or would just rather spend their money on other issues. And so that's why they're pushing for this bill. They want to have the option to have volunteer security guards, people's parents, grandparents, things like that. And, it would allow them to just provide the security on campus without having to pay for it.
Yeah, certainly a money issue as well when you're talking about what public schools have with the SROs and the metal detectors and the scanners and all those types of things. It's a big debate. It could affect tens of thousands of private school students all around the state. So thanks, Will. I know you'll be following it, and folks can get more coverage out of the state legislature by heading online to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com. Will Doran, thanks.
Food banks across the country are reporting an increase in visits due to rising living costs and stagnant income. 1 million additional households reported food insecurity in 2023 than in 2022. That's according to the latest available data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And things might get worse before they get better. That's because the USDA has paused $500 million of expected food deliveries. The agency also cut $1 billion for hunger relief programs that support local producers. Some people say despite having decent incomes, they are still struggling to feed their families.
It's hard for a retired person to get what you need in what I say with food, because you have to also pay for the rent, you have to pay for your medications.
Yeah, I usually come every single week normally, just because it's hard for us to, pay for everything and then also pay for our bills and then also for food. It's really expensive here.
So when it comes to higher costs that you're seeing in stores, including with things like eggs, people are looking to food banks and food pantries to help them meet their needs and really support their families.
Feeding America is a nonprofit with a network of more than 200 food banks. It fears families in the U.S. will not be able to use both food banks and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program to feed their families if lawmakers cut them.
All right, stop staying up so late. Why being a night owl is bad for your health.
Elon Musk replaced? What the Tesla's board chair says about whether the automaker plans to keep Elon Musk as CEO. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a man who fell over a railing at PNC Park in Pittsburgh last night during a baseball game remains in critical condition this afternoon. And Pittsburgh Public Safety tweeting this, saying the incident being treated as accidental in nature. The patient remains in critical condition at the hospital. Police do not anticipate providing any additional updates to the public, but the unidentified man fell onto the warning track. Players began waving frantically for medical personnel and pointing to the man. The game was paused for about 5 minutes while they tended to him, and they took him to the hospital where, again, he is in critical condition this afternoon.
According to the CDC, nearly 500,000 people in the U.S. get Lyme disease each year. As the weather warms up, so does the spike in cases. Health experts designate May as Lyme Disease Awareness Month to warn about the dangers of tick bites. Ticks can carry Lyme disease, which can be treated, but it can also lead to severe health effects if it goes unnoticed. Patients could experience heart problems, neurological disorders, and symptoms that resemble arthritis. Health experts recommend doing a tick check after spending time outdoors and removing them properly.
You don't want to go squeezing that tick where you may compress it or push pathogens that are in the tick into you. So you want to grab it as close to the skin as possible and pull out.
There are simple ways to make sure you avoid ticks while outside. Wear light-colored long pants, long shirts. That helps you see the tick better. And make sure your repellent meets federal regulations.
We've all had nights where we stay up too late, later than we should. But if you're a night owl by nature, it might be doing more harm to your health than you realize. Night owls often don't get the rest they need because they go to bed too late. It's simple things like using your phone or watching TV before bed that can keep you up.
We live in a sleep-deprived society with about 40% of adult Americans getting inadequate sleep. And the night owls are particularly at risk for chronic sleep deprivation. And that puts our bodies and every organ system, our brains, at risk for health problems.
Yeah, over time, the lack of sleep can raise the risk of conditions like depression, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes.
Who isn't sleep deprived, right? Repairs for Life. 5 on Your Side helps customers of an Apex gas station after a mistake that messed up their cars.
It's seamless shopping, why some credit card holders may never have to step into a store or browse the web again.
A gas station at the center of a major mix-up is making things right thanks to 5 on Your Side. You may remember a refuel gas station in Apex temporarily closed after discovering diesel was in the gasoline tank and regular gasoline in diesel. Kelly Arthur explains how she got drivers related repairs for life.
The mix-up was caused by a third-party fuel hauler. Once discovered, Refuel took full responsibility and announced that it would make things right by fixing affected vehicles. But listen to this. Driver Finn Wolf unknowingly got diesel in his Toyota truck's tank. As a result of this, his repair cost nearly $2,000. He said he was told by Refuel that they would cover the cost, but when he sent them the bill, they sent him this liability form stating that this payment was, quote, final and complete. That was a problem for Wolf, who knew that compromised fuel could cause other issues down the road.
And I put on the brakes and said, I don't agree with the verbiage in this contract. I was unwilling to sign. I told them I was unwilling to sign. And that is then when I reached out to you.
Coming up tonight only on WRAL News, I'll walk you through what I did to get Refuel to update that liability form and share just how common these kinds of mix-ups really are. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Tesla's chairman of the board is denying a report that the board is searching for someone to replace CEO Elon Musk. According to the report, the board is growing frustrated with plunging sales and Musk's involvement in the Trump administration. In a post on X, Chair Robin Denholm says the board is confident in Musk's ability to run the company. Musk recently announced in an earnings call that he would spend more time running Tesla. If you don't have time to do your own shopping, robots can do it for you. It's called intelligent commerce. Visa and MasterCard are enabling artificial intelligence to find and buy products based on preset customer preferences. The AI agent would also recommend the best way to pay. Visa says its initiative makes the purchase more seamless between customers and merchants. And here from inside the studio, we get a beautiful look outside at the WRAL Gardens just out back. And a hot day on the way for certain. Elizabeth Gardner is right down the street at the State Farmers Market right now. Strawberry fields forever down there, right, Elizabeth?
That's right. And this is the perfect place to be on a day like today because our humidity is fairly low. So it's really comfortable inside in the shade. And of course, it's strawberry day. Look at all these delicious strawberries. So North Carolina ranks 4th in the nation for strawberry production. And I want to show you this strawberry right here. I'm going to show you this one because I'm going to take a bite of it. So this is where the flower was. The flowers on the strawberry plants come out in February and March. And you know what happens around here in February and March? We often have freezing temperatures. So the strawberry farmers have to be really on alert, and they have several different ways that they can protect the strawberries every year. But it gets a little tough because these are very early season type of fruit. So they all are picked by hand. You know, you see machines that go out and pick a lot of different kinds of crops, but the strawberries are so fragile they have to be picked by hand. So all the strawberries that you eat that are North Carolina strawberries are picked by hand, and most of them are actually picked in the chews, and you go out and pick them yourself, the U-picks. I tell you what. Strawberries are my favorite, high in vitamin C. All right. I get distracted. We should also talk about the weather. Let's take a look at what's happening outside right now. And it is a beautiful day. We also have our WRAL weather alert day for Saturday and Sunday. Damaging wind and heavy rain are going to be our biggest threats. One of the reasons for this weather alert day is there are multiple events, big events happening all across our viewing area, both Saturday and Sunday, and you need to be really weather aware as we get into the afternoon and evening. Here's Saturday evening. You can see up and down the East Coast, we have that level 1 risk for severe storms. It looks like isolated cells could produce wind damage with that level 1 risk. So that's something that we'll be watching very closely. And of course, watch us on TV as this gets closer and download that WRAL app. We're on the south side of the warm front, so it's very warm today. Our next weather maker swings on through and pushes that front in as we get closer to the weekend, and that's where we're going to see this chance of thunderstorms. It starts on Friday, not the weather alert day, but our chance of storms. A midday Friday into the afternoon, and then Saturday afternoon and evening, Sunday for much of the day, and again on Monday as well. So Sunday definitely looks like a wetter day than Saturday does. This is a look at tomorrow. So we're looking at partly cloudy skies for tomorrow up until around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So around the time of the evening commute tomorrow, we may end up with a round of thunderstorms. And then it starts to taper off. And then Saturday, we actually will end up being fairly dry until we get into the afternoon. So mid to late afternoon, we start to see that chance of showers and thunderstorms again And then, as I mentioned, Sunday looks like it may be more widespread for much of the day. Temperatures will cool off, of course. It's definitely going to be a hot one, looking at a high of 90 degrees this afternoon. It is Strawberry Day, though, so come on out and get some of these absolutely delicious strawberries. I'll tell you what, this is my favorite day of the year at the farmers market. If you're lucky, I might bring you some.
Well, we're feeling lucky, so let's have it. Just bring it on.
We can tell just watching Elizabeth eat her way through these strawberries at the farmers market.
Illegal lunch hour.
Thanks,
Elizabeth. From strawberries to the Run for the Roses, and grab your mint juleps, your fancy hats, and seersucker jackets. Kentucky Derby is just a couple days away. We introduce you to the iconic bugler who has helped usher in this race for 30 years.
And here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we are following today. Job cuts could be on the horizon at Duke, the university announcing what it's considering to keep up with budget deficits. This is after the Trump administration froze federal grants and loans that are critical to college campuses across the country, Jeff.
Duke first announced this in March, these plans for what it's calling a strategic realignment and cost reduction program. Also, closing arguments have wrapped up in a murder trial for a man charged with killing his mom. Christopher McCullough could learn today if the jury found him guilty of the crime. The state says he intended to kill his mom. The defense says he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol and did not remember what happened. The jury will decide on 3 charges: first-degree murder, attempted murder, and larceny of the family dog.
A person is dead after an early morning crash on Trawick Road in Raleigh. It happened just after 1:30 this morning near Marsh Creek Road. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as officers investigated. This was a single car crash. The driver was the only person in the car.
Stage is all set at Churchill Downs, but no Kentucky Derby would be complete without that iconic bugle call sending the riders to the post. You know it. For the past 30 years, that thrilling moment has been provided by the same musician, Steve Buttleman. His uniform is ready. All he needs to do is get his Pickett Blackburn Herald bugle made in Lexington. And Steve says about an hour before each big race, he takes a walk down to the turf track to take in the sights and sounds.
Hopefully the sun's out like this, and I just think, gosh, wow, what did I do to get to be the guy? And I just say, thank you, God. Please help me not screw up.
He's the guy. Somehow we think he'll just do fine. He always does. Don't miss the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. The 151st running of the Kentucky Derby live this Saturday. You can watch it beginning at 2:30 right here on WRAL.
Our pet of the day is a delightful and very friendly cat who will liven up your home. Gatsby is a 2-year-old neutered male short hair cat. He's confident and outgoing and will greet you and visitors at the door. SPCA Wake is temporarily closed for walk-in visits, but you can still meet Gatsby by appointment. Just go to spcawake.org. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Get out there, enjoy that sunshine. Have a good day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.